Welcome to Blackout Files, where we uncover the internet's darkest mysteries. Today, we're diving into the abandoned places Iceberg. Scattered across the world are forgotten monuments, deserted military bases, abandoned churches, and crumbling cities. Once filled with life and purpose, they now stand silent, hiding stories of ambition, tragedy, and mystery. We'll explore how these places were built, why they were abandoned, and the secrets they left behind. Let's get into it. First up is the Buzlucha Monument, one of the most iconic abandoned structures in the world. Perched high atop the Buzlucha Peak in Bulgaria, this massive UFO-shaped monument was completed in 1981 by the communist government. It was built to commemorate key events in Bulgarian socialist history and served as a grand meeting hall adorned with massive mosaics, political slogans, and images of communist leaders. At the height of its glory, Buzlucha symbolized the power and ambition of the Bulgarian communist regime. But everything changed in 1989 when communism collapsed across Eastern Europe. The monument was abandoned, stripped of valuable materials, and left exposed to the harsh mountain weather. Over the decades, its roof deteriorated, windows shattered, and much of its interior fell into ruin. Yet despite its decay, Buzlucha remains a fascinating relic of a bygone era. Its futuristic design, combined with its eerie abandonment, has transformed it into one of the world's most photographed and mysterious abandoned places. Today, the monument stands as a haunting reminder of a political system that once seemed permanent, but ultimately faded into history. Next is the Duga Radar, one of the most mysterious relics of the Cold War. Hidden deep within the forests of Ukraine, near the site of the infamous Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the Duga Radar was built by the Soviet Union during the 1970s. Stretching hundreds of meters across the landscape and towering over the trees, it was designed as an early warning system capable of detecting incoming nuclear missiles from thousands of kilometers away. The radar became famous for a strange, repetitive signal that echoed across radio frequencies worldwide. Nicknamed the Russian woodpecker because of its distinctive tapping sound, the signal puzzled amateur radio operators and fueled countless conspiracy theories about its true purpose. Despite its immense size and cost, Duga had only been operational for a short time when disaster struck. In 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear accident forced the evacuation of the surrounding area, including the radar facility. The station was abandoned almost overnight, leaving behind a colossal steel structure slowly rusting in silence. Today, Duga stands as a haunting monument to Cold War paranoia, a massive machine built to detect the end of the world, only to be abandoned by a disaster no one saw coming. Built during World War II and completed in 1942, these offshore forts were designed to defend Britain from German aircraft and naval attacks. Crewed by soldiers and equipped with anti-aircraft guns, they formed a vital part of the country's coastal defenses. After the war ended, the forts were no longer needed. Most were decommissioned in the 1950s and gradually abandoned, left standing alone in the harsh waters of the North Sea. Their isolated location and unusual appearance gave them a second life during the 1960s, when some were occupied by pirate radio stations broadcasting music to millions of listeners. Others became the subject of bizarre claims and micronation projects, including the famous Principality of Sealand. Today, the rusting towers remain perched above the sea, battered by decades of wind and waves. Looking more like something from a post-apocalyptic film than a military installation, the Montcel's sea forts stand as eerie reminders of wartime Britain and one of the world's most unusual abandoned structures. Next is the Baikonur Cosmodrome, the birthplace of humanity's journey into space. Built by the Soviet Union in the 1950s in the remote deserts of Kazakhstan, Baikonur became the launch site for some of the most important missions in history. It was from here that the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched in 1957 and where the first human in space, Yuri Gagarin, began his historic flight in 1961. While parts of the Cosmodrome are still active today, several sections have been abandoned over the decades. The most famous are the massive hangars that house forgotten Soviet space shuttles from the Buran program. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Funding disappeared, projects were cancelled, and entire facilities were left to decay in the desert. Inside these abandoned hangars sit giant spacecraft covered in dust, untouched for decades, creating one of the most surreal scenes in the world of exploration. They serve as a reminder of a time when the Soviet Union was locked in a fierce race to conquer space. Today, these forgotten corners of Baikonur stand as eerie monuments to dreams of the future that were never fully realized. Cementland is one of America's strangest abandoned construction projects. Located in Missouri, Cementland was envisioned in the early 2000s by entrepreneur Bob Casserly, the creator of the famous City Museum in St. Louis. His goal was to transform an abandoned cement factory into a massive artistic playground filled with sculptures, towers, tunnels, lakes, and surreal industrial landscapes. Construction continued for years, but in 2011, tragedy struck when Casserly died in a bulldozer accident on the property under mysterious circumstances. Following his death, the project lost momentum and was never completed. As work stopped, Cementland was left frozen in time. Half-finished structures, giant concrete creations, and abandoned machinery remain scattered across the site, creating an eerie maze that attracted urban explorers and curiosity seekers. Today, Cementland stands as a monument to an unfinished dream, a place caught somewhere between an art installation, a construction site, and a ghost town. Its unusual history and mysterious abandonment have made it one of the most fascinating abandoned locations in the United States. Next is St. George's Church, one of the most haunting abandoned churches in the world. Located in the Czech Republic, the church was originally built in the 14th century and served as a place of worship for centuries. But in 1968, during a funeral service, part of the roof collapsed. Although no one was killed, the incident terrified the local community, who began to believe the church was cursed. As attendance dwindled, the building fell into disrepair and was eventually abandoned. For decades, it sat empty, its crumbling walls and decaying interior slowly succumbing to time. Its eerie reputation grew even stronger in 2012 when artist Jakub Hadrava filled the church with ghost-like sculptures draped in white fabric. The figures appear to silently occupy the pews, creating the unsettling illusion of spectral worshippers gathered for an eternal service. Today, St. George's Church attracts visitors from around the world. Combining real history with a chilling atmosphere, it remains one of the most unsettling and memorable abandoned religious sites ever photographed. Next is Fordlandia, the abandoned Ford factory town deep within the Amazon rainforest. In 1928, automotive pioneer Henry Ford established Fordlandia in Brazil with an ambitious goal to create a massive rubber producing settlement that would supply his car company and reduce dependence on foreign rubber sources. Ford invested millions of dollars into the project, building houses, schools, hospitals, roads, and factories. He envisioned a modern, American-style town in the heart of the jungle, complete with strict rules and a carefully planned way of life. But the rainforest had other plans. Rubber trees planted close together were devastated by disease and insects, while many local workers resisted the town's rigid regulations. Production struggled, costs soared, and the project never came close to meeting expectations. By 1945, Ford's company abandoned the settlement entirely, leaving behind empty buildings and rusting industrial equipment slowly being reclaimed by the jungle. Today, Fordlandia stands as a fascinating monument to one of the most ambitious industrial failures in history. A place where one of the world's most powerful companies tried to conquer the Amazon and lost. Next is abandoned Dragon Park, a forgotten amusement park that became an urban legend among explorers. Located near Beijing, China, Wonderland Amusement Park, often nicknamed Dragon Park because of its fantasy-themed designs, was intended to be one of the largest amusement parks in Asia. Construction began in the 1990s with plans for grand castles, attractions, and entertainment complexes. But the project quickly ran into financial problems and disputes over land ownership. Construction stalled before the park could ever open to the public, leaving behind unfinished buildings and towering fairy tale structures. For years, The empty castle at the center of the park stood as a surreal sight rising from the surrounding fields. With no visitors, no rides, and no activity, the abandoned complex became a popular destination for photographers and urban explorers drawn to its eerie atmosphere. Although much of the site has since been demolished, its abandoned remains became one of the most famous examples of a dream that never became reality. The unfinished park serves as a reminder that even the biggest ambitions can be left frozen in time. And that's the Abandoned Places Iceberg. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to Blackout Files, and turn on notifications for more mysteries and unexplained stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next file.